the Shen Shan show where Shanice, my mom,
and Shan the Pan
interview with LGBTQ plus professionals and entrepreneurs.
So let's get giddy and start the show.
Alrighty, guys, we're back with another episode of the Shen Shan show. I'm Shan.
And I'm Shanice. Welcome. And we have a great guest on today. We have an artist, a creative director, Amber Ryann, on today. Welcome, Amber. Please give our audience just a short introduction about you. Tell them what you're all about, and we'll get into it.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. My name is Amber Ryann. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a creative director and artist based out of Pasadena, California, born and raised. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So Pasadena, California, why did your family choose there? What were you always based there, or your family and everything?
Yeah, so it all started with my grandmother, really. That's where the roots were kind of, made right there. She always lived in Pasadena throughout her life. She moved from Chicago, actually, landed up in Pasadena, I would say around the late 1950s, and then had my mom down there. And I mean, our entire family has been down there ever since. We've gone to school, they've raised their kids. Me and the cousins have got along up there. So it's always been based in Pasadena.
Yeah. Are you still there now?
I'm actually in the Valley. So I'm in what you would call, I guess, San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, near La Crescenta. My dad's still in Pasadena, and that's where I work out of my studio.
Okay, awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about what was your upbringing like? Just a little bit about how you were raised.
How I was raised. So I was raised in between having a single parent, so halfway with my mom and my dad together in a household that wasn't quite functioning, and then them splitting off and being raised by a single mom who was working who was basically working around the clock and coming home to raise me and my sister. So in terms of being raised with certain family values like religion or anything like that, we weren't really a religious household. I don't recall us having a ton of family time just because I'm not close with anyone but my immediate family. So if anything, having a single parent and not having many people around you, it's pretty much just you.
Yeah.
So I like to ask, what age did you realize, oh, I think I'm gay, or part of the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, so I was actually having this conversation with friends just the other day, and that in itself is a kind of conflicting memory for me, because I don't recall realizing that I was until I had my first relationship. And I think it was a middle school relationship when I was 13. I always had inclinations, but I couldn't associate exactly what that was or how to kind of, I don't know, explore what that meant. And growing up, back when I was growing up, we didn't have any sort of representation. We didn't have any sort of information, at least not what we have now. Every corner you turn, you have someone that represents your community and could give you that information and give you that representation. So I say I definitely didn't know until about middle school.
Okay, cool. I mean, I could definitely relate, which, I know not everybody can, but I'm the person that I didn't know I was a part of the community until a person came along that I wound up getting feelings for. And that was, it was very strange. It was very strange. It was strange to me. I was like, what's happening? This doesn't feel it's been feeling all along. And I was already an adult, so I wasn't as young as you, but but again, you were talking about the exposure to, role models and people that show, their life, their love different from the societal norms, right? So what examples did we really have? I don't think that we really did. And it's so frowned upon in a lot of different families. So, that also plays a part. I know it played a part in me where I thought it was wrong. I didn't understand it, but I automatically would say, basically gay is wrong. It's not Christian. It's completely, should be off limits, for me, my family, my friends. That's what I thought. So I can completely relate.
I'm a little different. I've known since I was little that I wouldn't necessarily say part of the community, but I knew as far as what I was seeing the other little girls do and things like that, I knew I was different. But I actually didn't pursue any type of like relationship or anything with a female until I was in college. So, but I've never liked guys. I've never did anything with a guy. So I just always knew. It's just, I think I was more afraid of my family finding out. So I stayed focused on basketball my whole high school career.
Yeah.
Like in high school. Can't think of the words right now.
But well, Amber, I would love for you to tell us more about being an artist, being a creative director, and how life led you to that career.
For sure. Well, when I was younger, I actually, because I was raised by a single parent and not a lot of people were home, and I was going to school and I was like getting bullied and I had a hard time making friends, and it was really hard. Going to school was like a rude awakening for me. Starting school in general, it just felt like so bad. It was always hard to find my people. I was always like different. I'm a mixed kid. I went to school at a predominantly Black school. And I always had issues fitting in because of, I guess, me acting like too white or being into a certain type of music or just not really being able to relate to anybody. And I was just always alone. And it just led me into a deep depression at a young age. I remember being 10 years old, not contemplating why I don't want to live anymore. You know what I mean? That's difficult, and not having anyone to really confide in about those emotions and those feelings. And I remember I spent a lot of my summers just inside watching MTV music videos because I didn't have any friends or anything like that. So I'd just be watching TV all day kind of thing, and just seeing these bands and these artists and stuff that really was they're kind of weird like me, you know what I mean? They dress like me, they act like me, they're making me feel like I have people on the earth that are like me too.
Right.
And I just remember how important that those moments were to me, and in a sense, they kind of saved my life because I felt like I had a purpose as well. Maybe I could make someone else feel that way in the future. And from that moment on, I decided I want to do music. I know I want to do music. And ever since then, I've always worked towards that. I picked up guitar. I would always be practicing guitar 24/7. I mean, I was so good at playing guitar by the time I was, a teenager. No one could mess with me at that point.
You're self-taught?
Yeah, I'm self-taught because I just be in my room all day long, just listening to songs, playing along to the songs. I remember I had this guitar amp where I could plug in my iPod, and so I could learn how to play all my favorite songs and just listen and play it till I got it. And I'd be in my room for 6 hours every day on this guitar, not doing my homework but playing guitar. So
that's amazing. I mean, and that goes for everything in life, right? I think that where a lot of society misses the boat on their passions and what they want to do with their life, it's if you're only spending a small amount of time, let's say once a week, twice a week, maybe once a month, on your passions and on your goals, well, that's not indicative of persistency and consistency, right? You are a self-taught guitar player, and it's because you spent hours every single day committing yourself to your passion, right? And so anybody, well, I don't know about me, but a lot of people can do this in a lot of different areas, right? I probably couldn't do it with a guitar, but maybe I could have done it with piano. I love piano. I used to do piano lessons, but and it takes a special kind of person to fall in love with music, with and having that skill to be able to listen and translate it into
ear for any type of and even get the rhythm when I'm dancing. So
it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's bad.
I dance for both of us. I think that's really like commendable. And it's funny how, you know, life leads you into these like paths, right? Because you're being bullied and you would think that that's the end of the world, right? You can't make any friends, you can't find your people. And you know what I wanted to say about that is I think a lot of parents don't take bullying and kids' mental health seriously. I don't know if you agree with that, right?
Yeah, totally.
And they shrug it off, brush it off as if it's nothing. But I think we need more time and attention on our kids and their mental health and how they're handling these situations. Like, I don't know if you see, looking back, do you see that like maybe you could have handled the bullying differently or anything like that?
Not at the time. I mean, at some point it was like I started putting my foot down and I was becoming a big kid. Like I had to fight for myself, like physically fight for myself. And like that was my only resolve because like, you know, even back then the awareness in terms of bullying, we didn't have teachers that were calling parents. Like that's not the way that works.
Right.
It's you fending for yourself, your parents, you know, maybe having conversations with you and trying to, you know, fend for you or whatever. But, you know, we just didn't have like the resources and, you know, the outlets that we do now, really.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but I mean, I take my hat off to you because you're able, even though you're being bullied, you channel whatever your feelings were into music. And so I think that's why you're where you're at today. And so even though bullying sucks, but it didn't go in vain for you because you were able to turn that into something that's creative.
A good point.
Yeah.
Like we need to make sure we're helping our kids channel their anger, their sadness, their emotions, like through something else, right?
Yeah.
Because we're never going to have a perfect world. But
totally,
if we can engage our kids in different things to find their passions, then they can totally channel a lot of that into what that is. And now you're like, man, like nobody, like you said, nobody can touch you with a guitar, right?
yeah.
If kids are able to do that instead of spending a lot of time on the stuff that they don't like doing, like, you know, some of them are forced into sports and different things that they really hate.
It's about emotional intelligence. And
Yeah.
I know that those words are going around a lot. And I feel like parents should listen to that because you have to be in tune with your kids' emotions in order to allow them to overcome whatever they're feeling inside. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Amber, what are you currently working on? Tell us about that.
So as of right now, I'm actually wrapping up like my release schedule for the year. So I just released Worst I've Ever Had with a video. Right now, I'm still pushing out like promotional content. So like I love TikTok. I love my people on TikTok. I've been doing a lot of like video promotion, stuff like that. I'll be releasing a single within the next like month and a half or so. That'll wrap up like my release schedule for the rest of the year. And then on September 29th, I'll be having my first headlining show in LA. So I'm super excited for that.
That is amazing. Do you have details on that show?
Yeah, so I'll be headlining. Samantha Stone, Kaylee Spivey, and Plexiglass will be my openers. It's a 21 plus show in Los Angeles. Full bands, everyone's having full bands, so I'm very excited about that. We're taking like COVID precautions as much as we can. We don't know what the stipulations will be, you know, by then because we're in LA and everything's changing. It'll be $12 at the door, no, $12 in advance. So $12 pre-sales if you buy the tickets now, and then $15 at the door.
Awesome. And what date is that?
September 29th. That's on a Wednesday, I believe.
It's my brother's birthday. Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully COVID like takes a chill pill and calms down because it's crazy right now. But that's a month. I mean, that's a month away from when we're recording this right now. But I think that's amazing. It sounds exciting. What are you like most looking forward to about the show?
Getting back out there for sure. Because I mean, prior to COVID, like me and my band, you know, we were playing shows. We had some big shows lined up. I had a good feeling that if all went well, we were going to go forward with a potential mini tour, or at least more shows on that scale. And yeah, COVID wiped it out. Like I'm actually playing the same headlining show that I was supposed to play prior to everything getting shut down. So it feels like my comeback moment. I'm also in a better position. Like I've progressed way more, you know, since was that almost 2 years now. It's kind of scary.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm just really excited, to put my energy back out there, like, prove what I've got. Like I'm gonna pull out the guitar, all the stops, like, so I'm mainly just excited to get back to it.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I know that, I mean, I'm sure across the board, a lot of people feel like that, right? That COVID kind of put a wrench in things. However, it's like you said, like
in the sky.
it's right. In some ways, it can be a blessing because, like you're saying, you feel like you've progressed so much over the past, year and a half, almost 2 years. And it was during COVID that, like, Shan and I launched this podcast and we rebranded our business to be like out in our business. Like the name of our real estate team is Queer Real Estate Group. Yeah. So we are like trying to completely embody that and really get comfortable with, just being our true authentic selves. And I think, like you're saying, like progression has definitely been the focus throughout the pandemic. Yeah. And I think that's really cool that it seems like before the pandemic, it would have been cool to do this show, but now you're like, whoa, I'm on another level. Like this show is going to be that much better because I've had some time to really work on whatever it is that you have to make sure that it's the best that you ever have. Now you talked about TikTok. What's like your favorite thing about TikTok? Because TikTok is like all the
yeah, it's crazy. It's funny because it's like, I don't know. My favorite thing about TikTok is like the randomness. Because like I grew up with, Vine, not grew up with, but when I was I think around 18 or 19, we had Vine. And I just remember how like random and ridiculous that app was. And TikTok is like that, but to a different level.
Yeah.
It's funny because even like being 27, like I feel like I've found more of my people on TikTok. I still as an adult struggle to find people with the same like ideologies as me or like the same like type of energy, and to have those communities on TikTok and to have even like, I don't know, to see those stories elsewhere is, sometimes it can be comforting, especially during a time like COVID. That's when TikTok really started happening. And that was a way that people remained not only connected, but continued to connect. And there's so many things that happened during that time, but like the BLM protests and like there's so much that was happening. And TikTok was just like such a great way to know what was happening. Like, and see it from the lens of like other people and like their perspective. So I just generally love the app. I mean, my For You page is like a mess, like it's chaotic, but I just love the app so much.
No, that's awesome. I think that we talk a lot on this podcast about people finding their community, like finding their people, like you keep saying. That is basically what we preach to everyone. Like there is a community for everyone out there. And it doesn't have to be like the LGBTQ community versus, I don't know, the Black community or it doesn't have to be any of that. Like it could be completely out there, like different things that you take interest in or personality, right? Like people with the same type of sense of humor as you or that get you, And I love that I don't think we've ever talked about finding your community on like a platform like TikTok. Which is pretty cool.
Facebook. Oh, we talked about creating your own.
Oh, we talked about like Facebook groups. Like we interviewed the group owner of Black educated lesbians on Facebook, and not everybody can get into that group, but we talked about the fact that we need to create the communities that don't exist, right?
Yeah.
And because you're right, just because you're an adult doesn't mean that it's easy to find your people, right? Especially in the middle of a pandemic when you can't really like get out and see and go to mingle and whatever the case may be, even if you're comfortable with that, because a lot of people just aren't, right? So for you to be able to connect and get people through something like TikTok, I think that's super powerful. Would you have any like either tips or any insight to how you wound up finding your people or your community on TikTok?
Yeah, so one thing that's cool about TikTok is I've also like made friends on the app that I've like taken elsewhere. Like it's just it's truly a welcoming place. Like you could always end up on the wrong side of TikTok, but it's like, if you follow someone and like their content, you could always connect with them. It's like that easy. But in terms of getting on the app and being proactive, like maybe as a creator or someone who actually like utilizes the app, like spend time on the app, engage with videos you like. So like videos you like, comment on videos you like, watch your FYP, create similar content, but put a spin on it that's similar to what you're doing and what you're into, or, just showcase your personality. Like, the one thing I genuinely hate and love about TikTok, like, I'll literally sit here on a video that I think looks super cool and like work super hard to make this cinematic masterpiece to post on TikTok, and it goes absolutely nowhere. But the minute I post some really dumb video of me
Like
just
something
like
super
acting
raw,
stupid,
yeah.
It's like the one video that goes out there and maybe goes viral or gets me to, basically allows people to connect with me. Like, that's what people look for on TikTok, is that authentic connection. And I do solely believe that's because it really started to boom during COVID. And people just needed that like face-to-face, raw, authentic content, like those experiences. So
yeah, it's like, don't overthink it, right? Just
yeah, totally.
be you. We struggle with that a lot. Because, for example, if we have like clients, Shan is like, I need to put on my suit and tie. Not literally, but like she likes to like dress up. And I'm like, I'm putting on my yoga pants. If they don't like me in yoga pants, then we don't need to be working together. Like, I'm gonna be comfortable.
Well, I'm kind of torn in between, because I do like dressing up, right? But also, sometimes I just want to go on my Jordans and my jeans or shorts and call it a day. But
which I like fully support. I'm like, a lot of the times when we are our authentic self, we attract our people, and then we detract the people who would have been like a pain in the ass, which I am completely fine with, So I'm like, why would we want to work with them? And a lot of the times I can pinpoint basically which person is going to actually wind up leaving us, like not want to work with us anymore. Even if we tried everything we just saw that with one of your clients. I was like, Shan, just nip it in the bud. Don't bother. Just refer them out to somebody else. I don't think it's going to work. They don't seem like they're fit like with us. And Shan works her butt off, does all these showings, everything like that. And then after all that work, they decided they don't want to use her. So it's like, yep. And so I'm like, it's so much more powerful. Like you're saying, just be your true, authentic, raw self, because it goes a lot further. You see that with just the algorithm or whatever they're using on TikTok. It's like, you can fix something up to be perfect, right? And it goes nowhere. We saw that with an Instagram reel we just did. Like, I did a reel that was just like super simple, quick. I was just like, let me just put something out there, right? And it got a really good amount of like views and everything like that. And then the one we like doctored up, it's going a lot slower.
Yeah, it's usually the way it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm paying attention. I'm just looking at your content. So
oh no, it's all good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, tattoos. I see you're tatted up. So do you have any one of the tattoos you want to talk about, a meaning behind it, or anything like that?
I just have like so many, and it's like, I mean, they all in a sense have meaning. I mean, I have a couple that I feel like I've gotten like off the spur of the moment, but I even have like a pizza tattoo, like that's meaningful to me, if you want to talk about like meaningful tattoos. But I have like a portrait of my grandmother on my arm. When she passed away, so I got a portrait of her. I have like some lyrics by one of my favorite songwriters, Elliott Smith. So like those two tattoos in general were like, I got to kind of like commemorate the most pivotal points in my life, like the two that I've mentioned. But yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of the dome. Like, I just have so many tattoos at this point.
Do you think tattoos are like part of your like artistic experience, just a way to express yourself? Is it something you just kind of started doing and feel like a lot of people say tattoos are like addicting, like you just keep getting them?
I just always knew I wanted tattoos. Even like, it's hard to say even before tattoos were cool, but when I was 12, I was 12 begging my mom, please let me get a tattoo. She's like, where are you going to get a tattoo? You're 12. Like, no one's going to tattoo you.
Yeah.
I was just like ready to get anything. I think the first tattoo I got, I was 15. It was at like some dude's house. Like me and my friends had made a plan to go ditch school and go get a tattoo. I got like it's a Japanese symbol. Do I know if it actually means what I think it means? I don't know, but I wanted a tattoo, so here we are. So I think, tattoos to me, because some people treat tattoos as like this very delicate process. I'm gonna sit down and plan out my whole sleeve and and like everyone to each, to each is their own, whatever that you want to do with it. But for me, it's just mainly about experiences, and whether it was like in the moment or a planned thing, like I don't really like regret any of my tattoos. It's just about I look at it and I remember that moment. I remember how I felt, and like that is for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that perspective on tattoos. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want our audience or the world, because hopefully Shen Shan show would blow up really big one day, speaking that into existence, about Amber Ryann, the music artist?
What would I want them to know about me? Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure. That's a very loaded question. I'm not
Or
too
just
sure.
you as
I
an
don't think
artist, like what
Or
can
even
I
like-
expect from you as an artist, or
Like, what does your music mean to you?
Yeah.
Like, where does your inspiration come from, and how does it like show in your music and all the different things that you direct, that you're involved in from a creative standpoint? What does that look like for you?
I feel like my music is really just derived so much from life experiences. And I say that quite often because like I know certain artists that will like sit in the studio like night and day. I used to be that type of artist, sit in the studio night and day. But like, where are you pulling that inspiration from at the end of the day? Kind of like runs dry. Like I'm one of those people, I need to like live life. Like that's my main focus at the end of the day. Like my passion is music. I'd love to say that my entire life is music, in a sense it is, but living life and being present is like a constant thing that I'm working at. And ultimately that's where my inspiration and my music, is derived from, is my life experiences. So
this episode is supported by Queer of Real Estate Group. Our goal is to bridge the large wealth and homeownership gap that exists in the LGBTQ plus community. Follow us for education, tips, guides, and inspiration on Instagram at Queer of Real Estate, and message us to get the homeownership process started and matched with an LGBTQ plus or allied professional in your area. Connect with us on Instagram at Queer of Real Estate.
How do you stay present? I think a lot of people struggle
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
How do you stay
It's-
present to like take in those moments and then put that work and that passion into your music?
It's definitely a daily like effort. Gratitude is very powerful. Like the more you're like grateful for, like if you're grateful just to wake up in the morning and have the opportunity to do A, B, C, and D, like I feel like that ultimately puts you in a closer position to be able to be present and focused on smaller things and appreciate that. This year, my mom was actually like diagnosed with cancer, and like that had, I haven't even really spoken about that. But that really put things into perspective for me. Like we went through so much, and like to have a sense of like gratitude, to just be like, I'm alive in this moment. Like I have my mom, I have these opportunities. Like I'm grateful to be the type of artist that gets to spend about 90% of their time on their actual art. Like that is something I'm grateful for. So a main component to living in the moment and being able to be present is definitely gratitude, or else you're sucked up by like your anxiety about the future and like your depression about the past. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we're going to transition a little bit more towards your, like, just you, whether you phrase it as you came out or however you see that experience in your life. You are out as an artist, like in your music, everything like that, right?
Yeah. So there's like, I don't, I've never like deliberately like came out like, yo, I'm queer. I try to like kind of put that representation into the art more so than like my words and like what, you know what I mean? Like kind of hard to explain. I put it into the music, I put it into the art,
Right.
talk about it when it's relevant. I haven't necessarily just been like, yo, I'm out, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just something that's integrated into
Something that's integrated.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense because I mean, a lot of people don't necessarily want to or feel the need to brand themselves as a queer anything, right?
Totally.
I mean, we have, but a lot of people just don't. I mean, at the end of the day, we always wind up comparing it to the majority of the population, which is the straight population, right? So do they say that they are a straight anything? No, you know, so their lives are intertwined into what they do. I think that makes perfect sense. So yeah, I think that's cool that it's just integrated. It's nothing that you're necessarily trying to like explain to anyone, but it's there. It's not something you're hiding. It's just, you know, people know when they know, or you know, if they're really truly in tune with you, then they know.
And as far as
totally.
as far as with your family or friends or anyone that you're close to, how was your coming out story then, or did you do the same thing that you did with your music, where you just kind of be like, this is me, and kind of like just live your life?
Well, that when I did have that middle school relationship, you know, I had like a moment where like my stepdad actually like walked in on me, not doing anything crazy, but you know, I'd seen, you know, me being affectionate with a female partner. And then that transpired into a conversation that I had to have with like my mom. And you know, my mom from the very beginning has always been like extremely accepting, to the point where it was like almost confusing. Like, are you really like, is this really happening? Like, you really like accept? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think I had the biggest issue overall, like learning to accept myself and just kind of like reverting back to, you know, being bullied in school. Like at some point in school, like early on, I was bullied for being gay just because the way I dressed without comprehending what that meant. And I think because it was so merciless, like I think it really like kind of like how you said, like it instilled this like, oh, being gay is bad, being gay is disgusting, it's not right, like I'm being made fun of this for being this type of person. I don't even understand what this means. And so like when I did realize, it took me so long to really accept myself, and I still like live with some of those premonitions. Like I outwardly say that because that's how like deep rooted those hateful rhetorics can be for people. And that's also what like inspired my latest music video. You know, I wrote the story around a guy that had such difficulties coming out because he had a homophobic father and that had hateful rhetorics that would go around in the household. And like people don't realize like some of those rhetorics like make it hard for people to ever come out, you know?
Absolutely.
And that acceptance, that self-acceptance could become very, very difficult.
Yeah, totally agree.
I feel like, Shan, you had a similar experience, like before. Well, I don't know. I feel like you've said that before you, I don't know, kind of embraced the fact that, you know, you were, you know, part of the community.
Yeah.
You were already being made fun of and already getting accused. And
I was put on I played basketball. So I feel like at my high school, every girl that played basketball, you were automatically labeled gay or lesbian. And so it was this huge joke at school where someone printed up all the names of people that they thought were gay and posted it on over all the lockers. And so, yeah, I went through that experience. But for me, I think I was at that point where I don't think I ever really experienced bullying to the degree of some people. And now that happened, but I was old enough to kind of be like, oh, it's just high school, yeah, people being childish or, you know, using that word back in the day. And so it didn't affect me at all. So if anything, I was worried about my family finding out. But again, I hadn't came out, I hadn't talked to anybody about it. So it really didn't affect me like it did most people probably.
And Amber, it sounds like you were a lot younger than, you know, what a lot of people experience for bullying around being gay or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I can totally relate that there are definitely times in my life where I can't even like comprehend. Like I go back to elementary school in my memories now, And I'm like, I've probably liked women for a really long time and didn't know that that was what that was.
Yeah, totally. That's the perfect way to put it.
My second grade teacher.
Yeah, I had a crush on my teacher too. I think I had a crush on my teacher too. And I didn't know that until I was a full grown adult. Isn't that crazy? I just feel like that's crazy. I used to have dreams and everything. Like, and I didn't know. I'm so serious. Okay. Cool. So tell us, like, now, is that what you would say is your coming out story, getting caught by your stepdad and talking through it with your mom?
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, I feel like my coming out story was just kind of like, I don't know, there was tribulations. I mean, I had that conversation with my mom when I was about 13 years old. And I remember up until like, I was maybe like 16 or 17, we had got an argument about something, and I was like telling her, like, you still don't accept me, like, you don't love me, like, because I'm gay and stuff like that, or because I'm queer. I was actually like labeling myself as bisexual at the time. I'm like, I would say I'm queer. I don't really like do labels. I'll date whoever, but I was telling her, like, you don't accept me, and she just was like, Amber, you don't accept yourself. Like, I have no problem with you, and no one has any problem with you. Everyone loves you the same. You are still struggling to accept yourself. And I think that was just like, at least the first day where I accepted that I was dealing with this internal conflict still. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I've continued to deal with it in some ways. It's kind of hard to explain. I've accepted myself. It's hard to get like the rhetoric's like completely gone. And so many people, I feel like my age that have dealt with similar situations still deal with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that's really insightful of your mom. I love your mom, because like, for her to be so tuned into you, to even recognize how to even communicate that with you, that, hey, this is not a me thing. You need to accept you. You need to love you. Like, that's so insightful. And a lot of parents just aren't that in tune. So I just feel like you probably may feel like this, I don't know, but that's an extreme blessing to have a parent that is that insightful, supportive and in touch with you, that they can even, like, I feel like that was a guide. Like, you had to get in that argument so that your mom can, like, be real with you and say, look, you need to accept you.
How do you feel that conversation, after having that conversation, did you notice a difference about yourself? Did you try to accept yourself more, or love yourself more after that conversation, since you knew you had your mom's support? Or did you feel like you had her support still?
I felt like I had her support still. I felt like there was more work to be done within myself. Like, throughout high school, I had still had, relationships with, men and like women, and I just felt more open to express who I was with, like, with my family, which was nice too, because like it sucked for people that were just like so like closeted and afraid to have any sort of discussion, and they'd come home to their parents hassling them about having a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're just like, I have to keep all my encounters and relationships on the DL type thing,
Right. And where's your sister in all of this? Is that your older or younger sister?
And dad.
Oh yeah. And dad.
Yeah, my younger sister. I just feel bad like for her, like when we were growing up, because so much, like, I had dealt with so many different issues in between, like my mental health and like just all the tribulation that I had experienced. And it feels like it makes me feel so bad, because it feels like when an older, or like when a sibling is going through like crisis, whether it's like drug addiction, mental health, anything like that, it really does feel like the other sibling kind of like falls into like neglect. Not as much like, it's hard for your parents to be so emotionally available for everybody all at once. And like, I really do feel like I took like so much of that away from her, for many years. And she was just like, damn, you're just causing all this drama, and like I'm not getting a chance to grow up and like have my moments and like have, you know, my parent be emotionally available for me because I'm not in crisis 24/7. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. That's why there are a lot of stereotypes which sometimes like ring true about like first child, middle children, you know,
Yeah.
baby of the family. It just happens, but you know, it is a part of probably your sister's path for that to all have happened, or even to watch you go through some of those things. What's y'all's relationship like now?
I mean, our relationship is definitely better. Like, in adulthood, we're both adults now. She's like 22, I'm 27. It's definitely better. It wasn't functional when we were growing up. Like I said, I think she harbored like a lot of anger towards me for like all those things and stuff like that. So, and I mean, we do have like our dad in our life, but he's like been like, you know, very like emotionally unavailable. It's like weird because he's been there at the same time, like from an arm's length, but definitely not like as hands-on as my mom has been forced to be throughout everything.
Yeah, definitely. No, that makes a lot of sense. And what I really like love about this conversation is that I think that, and this rings true in your music, right? Like people go through these things. This is like real life. These are actually things that people can relate to. And it just all goes back to us like being our true authentic selves. Like what you see on TV, what people think is perfect is not reality, right? And so you having that focus to heal, to continue working, like we're all hopefully working on ourselves on this journey of life, like throughout the whole thing. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever reach that point of perfection or whatever it is we're striving for, right? It's just always going to be us taking one foot in front of the other and working towards a better self, better relationships, finding our people, finding our community. And I think that's what's like ringing true about you. And I love how, you know, truly authentic that is for you, and how honest you are with us and yourself. Yeah. Because some people struggle to be honest even with themselves.
You know, sometimes people pain and hurt, like it literally paralyzes them. And the fact that you're able to push through and still express yourself in your music and express yourself and meet your find your community, that tells you that you're on the right path for your purpose, right? And to me, I don't know if you feel this way, but I think you know your purpose here on earth, and I think that's why you're having the success and I can't think of the words I want to say. Jeez, Louise, today is just not my day.
It's okay.
But I don't know, the energy I'm getting from you, like I feel like you're definitely on your right path. And I don't know what you're feeling or thinking about, but just know that you are on the right path from what I'm feeling.
And I'm sure and I don't know if this happened yet for you, but the experience you had as a child where you're like, you know what, this band, this music saved my life. You're definitely going to do that for someone. So has someone ever told you that yet?
Yeah, actually someone told me that like a couple weeks ago. I was completely floored.
Oh my gosh. That's
it's definitely hard to, it's like pretty unreal. But it is, you know, it does give me like that clarification in terms of like me being on the right path. I definitely do believe that. And I believe if I just keep doing what I'm doing right now, like I'm going to be there. Yeah.
I mean, it's all in the consistency. Yeah. It's what you've been doing since you were a child, like channeling that energy, channeling those life experiences. And that's really cool that's like come full circle for you, because, you know, there's a lot that goes on that we don't see. So there are probably more people, they just haven't expressed that to you. Or maybe they feel like, you know, Amber,
they're not comfortable yet.
Yeah, they're not comfortable, or whatever the case may be. There are probably more. If there's one, there's probably more, because it's kind of like I was watching probably like a TikTok or Instagram reel yesterday, and it said something like when people, you know, say that they watch your stuff on, you know, Instagram or TikTok or whatever the case may be, and you're like, oh, like, no, don't watch me. What do you mean you're watching me, you know?
Literally.
Yeah. And it's like, but people are watching, and people, you know, people will tell us, you know, oh, I see all the content y'all are putting out. Oh, I learned this, I learned that. And we don't realize it. until someone like actually tells us and we're like, oh wait, no, let me go back in the shell. Are you really watching? Which I think is so funny, but that's the truth. So I love the impact you're having. And also, you know, we talked a little bit about mental health. I think that's huge, that has been a part of your story and something that we can, you know, just funnel through your music. You can funnel that through to, you know, your audience to say like, we go through it, it will get better. It's a journey. Like, let's, you know, walk forward. Let's keep improving. Let's keep working on it. So anyways, I'm not trying to harp, but let's move on to our wrap up questions and get it all wrapped up. You want me to go first? Sure. Okay. So Amber, where do you find your motivation?
I find my motivation in, I don't know, that my desire for like success. I think at this point, like that motivates me. I constantly tell people like my motivation behind everything is like, if I want to do something and if I'm the one in control of that, like I know it's not going to get done unless I do it. So I would say that in itself motivates me.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, next question. What advice would you give to someone in the LGBTQ plus community that would like to advance in their career or level up in their business?
Okay, is this specific to certain businesses or certain careers?
No.
Okay, for sure. I don't know. I think it's really important early on to establish like core values. Like if you have core values, like you'll never step outside. You'll know where you're going and what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. You won't step outside of those core values, whether it comes to creating or like having a business where you have to make certain decisions. Because the hardest thing to do in any business or, you know, even in a creative aspect is like the decisions you make like ultimately affect like your future and like what that means for you. Finding out who you are as a person is so important to any business or like any creative aspect. It doesn't even really matter. You have to know who you are. So like find out who you are, put that into your business, put that into your core values, and I guess, you know, start from there. And I guess step 2 would be a start, because like some people don't even start. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I love that. If you establish your core values, like you'll know what's inside that box and what's not, right? And then you can just fully focus your time and energy on working towards what's inside of that box. Like it's just setting boundaries, you know? I feel like a lot of the times in life, we all can struggle with setting some of those boundaries and don't realize that having boundaries are actually healthy. You know,
totally.
You don't want to have you don't want to be that yes person and you don't want to be the no person all the time, but having boundaries can totally change everything about you, your life, and how happy you are, even that just in general. So I love that. Establish your core values. Last question. Do you have a favorite book or podcast?
Do I have a favorite book or podcast?
If not, like you can totally do like your favorite like Tick-Tock channel or something like that. Or
okay, for sure.
I don't know, a hashtag that you follow or something.
I have a favorite book and podcast. They're just unrelated to anything in my life, but I love Blood in My Eye by George L. Jackson. It's called Blood in My Eye.
Blood in My Eye?
Yeah, it's basically George L. Jackson is basically like a self-proclaimed revolutionary. I read that book actually like during like the BLM protests and like all that stuff. I'm like really into stuff like that. And then I like true crime podcasts. Like that's my thing, like true crime. Yes. So Sword and Scale is top 1.
She thinks I'm so weird that I
don't think
you're weird, but not weird, but she doesn't. And last night I was watching Dateline, you know, all the killing their wives, the wives killing their husbands, and it's just like, how do you watch this?
Well, I'm like a big scaredy cat, so anything like suspenseful or evil or I just can't do it.
Watch Candyman with me. She's never seen it.
Yeah, no, I have to see Candyman. I have to see Candyman.
I absolutely cannot. No, there is no way. I don't do horror. I don't do scary. I barely do suspense. Like Ashley and I was like
Bird Box.
I was on top of her head. Like I can't do it. She was probably very injured after that movie. Like you don't even want to watch a movie like that with me.
No, you don't. Just sit far away.
I
That's
I
so
can't do
funny.
it. But anyways, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, she's all about that crime and oh my God.
Yeah, I love that stuff. It's funny because like people think it's so weird. Like I should be like when I drive in my car, I'm listening to like true crime
Right?
podcasts or whatever. People think I'm like listening to music all day long. Like no,
No.
that's what I like to listen to. So
I knew when I got on, it's like either a murder in Oregon, a murder in Illinois. Like they have series of different like cities that they're doing on iHeart, I believe,
Mm.
something like that.
Nope, no part of it. I don't want any part of it. All right, Amber, please tell our audience how to get in touch with you, how to support you, how to find you on TikTok, whatever you want to tell our audience.
great. So you could find me on Instagram under Ryann Breezy. So RYANN Breezy. I'm on TikTok as Ryann Breezy as well. You find me on Twitter as Ryan Amber. And yeah, those are the best ways to get in contact with me. Also, I'm having the show on September 29th at the Resident LA. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't know if any of your listeners are in LA, but
Yeah,
Go ahead
absolutely.
and make sure you get those tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
And Amber, one more thing. You also call yourself creative director. So
Mhm.
kind of tell us, the audience, if they're looking for someone to do that type of work.
Work for them,
How,
yeah.
how could you help them with that?
For sure. So I create all my own content. I create like all my own videos. So I've directed them, I've edited them, I've shot them. I've had, friends hold the camera for me. I've, had them put it on a tripod. I've helped other artists like with branding and marketing, just basically giving them literally all the same tools that I had or that I didn't have. I had to find out. So yeah, in that sense, like I could definitely help. Like if you're an artist that needs like visuals, if you need visuals for like a release rollout, if you need a content schedule, like things like that. So anything in the creative aspect, I could definitely help out with.
Love it. All right. Well, Amber, it was such a pleasure having you on today. I loved how authentic this conversation was and, kind of digging into the past and how we can like move forward and find our people. Like I said, we keep talking about that. Like literally with all of our guests, we keep talking about finding your community, finding your people, figuring it out. I love that this one was surrounded by like TikTok, which is, no one's thinking, oh, I'm going to find my community on TikTok, but
I just think about
it could be anywhere.
your
Like,
daughter.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it can literally be anywhere. And hopefully this shows our audience, like, you create your own story at the end of the day. Like you create your own story, your own path, and you have to be out there seeking it and looking for it and being open to it, open to receiving that. So you know where to go to find that community, find those people, and, to excel at your passions, like work at it, be consistent and truly, intertwine with your passion. So thank you, Amber. We
Thank you.
greatly appreciate it. And that's all we got for y'all today. Thanks, Amber.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Like, subscribe, and share the video to your friends. In the comment section down below, write how good the video was.
And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure to hit a 5-star review.
Bye.